Hello, welcome. This is the second lesson for the watercolor fundamentals. We're going to be doing water control today. We're going to use very simple shapes, in this case circles, to understand a little bit more how our paints interact both with each other and with the water. What you're going to need today is your number 8 round brush, and this is a Princeton Neptune, but any round brush really will work, and some cleanish water and some paints. Today I'm going to use this set, which is all almost exclusively transparent paints and ones that you would find in a very common beginner palette, I would say. So if you have a set of 12, you should be able to do this exercise no problem. If you have only one color, you can do this exercise too. So that's not really a problem. First of all, we're going to start exactly where we started in the previous lesson by taking clean water onto our brush and painting onto a dry page. This time, instead of a rectangle, we're going to be drawing a circle. So I'm taking my time, enjoying the process of starting in the middle and working outwards, just correcting with each pass that outer edge until I'm happy with the shape. And you don't want it to be sopping puddle wet. So if you look at it from the side, you want it to have a sheen, but not necessarily to be a huge bulging puddle. Okay, somewhere in the middle of that. Then what we're going to do is take our first paint color, and in this case let's take a cool blue. This is a Prussian blue, and just tap your brush into the shape. Okay, tap your brush, pull your brush through the shape, but do not let your brush go outside of that original shape that you created. You can kind of see how the different amount of water allows you to push that pigment around in the shape pretty easily. And when you stop touching it, the paint is going to continue to move within the water shape. It will move more readily if it is a wetter kind of glaze is what it's called, or if it's dried a little bit, then it will move more slowly, but the paint will continue to move. And so the next thing we're going to do is to take a analogous color. So I'm going to choose either to go towards the green or towards the purple, and in this case I think let's choose green. And I'm going to make another circle. Now, however far away from the first circle you are is how much you're going to have to come out. So this is going to be a really big green circle. And what I want to do is continue to make this circle larger, one brush stroke at a time, until this circle and that circle touch. So I'm going to let it happen. Okay. And now you stop. You can see that by having the two wet areas connect, they're now able to interact with one another, and so this blue is seeping into the green. And this is called pulling out the pigment into your other shape. So let's try it again. Let's move over an analogous color. So from green, we can choose blue or yellow. So I'm going to choose lemon yellow, and I'm just going to do a teeny tiny little circle here. I started close to the other one, so I know it's not going to get too big. Working my way out until they connect. And you are going to really enjoy the process of stopping, putting your brush down, and just looking at how the paints move. You can encourage them by tilting your page. So let's see what happens when I tilt it this way. Can I get the green to go into the yellow? This is the type of play that allows you to, in a very slow, non-committal way, play with your paints and learn more about them. If you want, you can also take just plain water now. I'm going to make an even bigger circle, so starting a little further away. I'm just going to let this circle remain clear and have the green seep into it. Okay? Now isn't that cool? Let's pick another analogous color to green, and so I'm going to go back to, how about this yellowy green? And I'm going to do just a little circle. This is green, called green gold. See what happens. Maybe we'll do two. Is this going to dilute my little green gold circle? That's what's happening here. And then this one, the green is pushing into it. Let's try an analogous color, or actually let's try a complementary color because that's always fun. So I'm going to go here for, I'm going to use this quinacridone lilac now, and it's going to be a complementary color to both of these. So let's start in the middle. Oop. We need a little more water to make it move around. If your brush seems too dry, just go ahead and dip it in your water and get the pigment a little more free flowing around that circle. A dry brush will start to skip across your page. Okay, so I think I'm going to end up touching this circle before I touch that one. Cool. Okay, so we're going to find out what happens when that green pulls into the pink. And I'm going to encourage this by tapping in, or this is called pushing in, some more green. Now normally you would think that these two colors would mix and create a muddy color, but we'll see what happens. All I'm doing is just taking a finer brush now. This is a size 6 liner brush, and tapping that green color directly into my lilac shape. So this is where you start to learn that maybe everything that you were taught about color in primary school or in high school or even in college, frankly, because I didn't really fully understand this when I was learning about color in university, is that watercolors work their own kind of magic. And through experimentation and play is the surest way to understand what your paints can actually do. So I'm taking a clear circle here and letting it kiss up against the pink. Okay, and we're I'm just going to keep going. So what I encourage you to do is to use all the colors in your palette, use them in surprising ways, and fill up your entire sketchbook page. So when I say surprising, I mean here we picked 3 colors that were together on one side of the color wheel, and here we picked ones that are opposite sides of the color wheel. And both of them have turned out pretty cool without turning muddy or diluting those colors. So continue on, and I'm going to play a little bit of music as I fill up this. So now that you've had some time to play around with your paint colors and see how they interact, let's try and put together some of the things that we learned yesterday and apply them into this lesson. So why don't we start by creating a circle that touches another clear circle. So we're not going to have too much interaction between these circles, certainly not in the same way. There we go. We're just butting up a little bit, and we're getting a light amount of transfer from this clear to this clear circle. So what I want to try and show you is if we wait a little bit so that it's less of a puddle, we can have quite a bit of control to create a three-dimensional circle shape here. So while we're waiting for that to dry just a little bit, let's make one more circle. Let's try and do one over here because this whole side has started to dry. So I'm going to choose, let's do another pink circle. This is quinacridone lilac. And finish the other side of it. And for fun, let's drop in some quinacridone gold. So I'm going to clean my brush off pretty well and pick up some quinacridone gold. More of a butter consistency so that I've got less water on my brush than I do on the page, and just tap it around the circle. See what it does. Okay, now that this has had a little bit of time to dry, we're gonna clean off our brush again and pick up a color. I think I'm gonna choose how about orange? Okay, and again we're going to pretend that the light is coming from this direction, and I'm going to put my darkest pigment on this side of the circle. Okay, and then just work it around till it gets to the other side. Okay. Go back. Do not add more water. You want more of a buttery kind of consistency, and add some thicker paint to the other side again. Okay. So that is a circle using some of the techniques that we learned yesterday. Let's try another clear circle. We can butt it up with the yellow here. And I really like this Perlene maroon color. So let's do another circle of that. Whoa! I got out of control there. But how cool is that? One of the other things that we learned was to add a little bit of extra water to one side. So let's try that. I'm going to choose a color here. Let's do purple. Okay, I'm going to do a pretty big circle. This Carbazole violet can be almost black, so you might have to add a little bit of extra water so that you get more of a mid-range of purple. Okay, we'll have it kiss up against this Perlene maroon. Just a little. You can see my strength is on this side, not on this side. And then we're going to add in water on this side. And see how that gives us some interesting blooms and changes the value from one side to the other. Let's do another circle over here. Try and use some of that juicy color. Pull it down into this circle. Okay. And maybe tap in a different color there. How about we tap in green on this side? Do they mix? Do they stay separate? We'll find out. Let's do another yellow. Yes, medium-sized yellow circle. And let's tap in just a little bit of red right into the middle of that one. This is where you get to play. Oh, the other thing that you can do, which could be kind of fun, it depends on how experimental you're feeling, but you can also tap color. So all I've done is just picked up a fairly milky consistency of the green, and I am just using my finger to tap one brush on the other. Or, if you're feeling brave, you can just tap the brush, but you have less control that way. So let's keep going. I'm going to do another circle here. So what we're learning is that some paints really like to shoot out into the space. Other paints sort of stay where they are, or they don't move very much, but they do move into the space. Let's try this green gold color. Ooh, interesting. And I'd like to go back to some more green. Let's put some green on this side and see what happens. Trying to make a round shape and failing. Okay, what else can we do? Let's go back to blue over here. This is going to be, let's do some smaller circles. This is Prussian blue again, and so it's actually the opposite of this orange color. I'm going to have it go into this circle. Got a little bigger than I expected. Goodness. Okay, and another little one here. Your circles are going to be a lot better than mine, I'm sure. Or maybe you're just going to make them amorphous blobs. That's totally fine too. Okay, maybe some more pink. Ooh, that's a pretty purple. Let's try putting some pink in there. I'm going to do another big clear circle. Cool. And maybe some smaller, maybe a little yellow one here. Okay, these colors are opposite, purple and yellow, green and pink, or green and red, and blue and orange. Let's do another orange circle. Cool. And maybe we'll put a little bit of blue in the middle of that just to see what happens. Bam. So you can see you can absolutely fill sketchbook pages full of these kinds of beautiful, bright, and fun experimentations. And I've learned a lot about how these colors interact. they're not always going to mix and create a blend of those colors. Like you would expect that if you had blue paint interact with yellow paint, you would get green. But actually we're preserving some of that pigment. It's pushed out on the blue instead of mixing together. Same thing has happened over here. The green paint has gone down into the pink and stayed there and pushed the pink away. So instead of actually mixing and creating mud, we've got pink and green together in the same circle. So these are the types of experimentations that when you work with your own paints, you're going to learn so much more than you ever would if you were just to paint a color wheel. It's really important to see how these colors interact, not just in terms of how they technically should according to the book, but how they really do in real life on your page. This is something that I absolutely encourage you to do. Put some music on, take your time, and you'll find that you get into almost a meditative state of painting. It's really enjoyable and highly worth doing no matter what level of watercolor you're at. I hope you enjoyed painting this with me today, and I cannot wait to see your versions of this exercise. Take care and have a great day.